the biggest third grader. It was the year my thighs bloomed. I learned I was other. I learned that I was lacking the ingredients of normal. I was new to third grade, had been going to an alternative school, the kind of new age hippie experiment the 70s were full of. No one really knew if this approach worked, and I guess that like public school, it worked for certain kids, but I'm not one of those kids. I was not hungry to learn. I was hungry, but it was for some other thing. I was not motivated to read or do math. I spent years going to that school, and what I remember was being read to by a slew of long-haired, rosy-cheeked teachers, jumping off the roof of Glory Glory, the tiny clubhouse in the backyard, sitting Indian style in a circle, whispering messages till they were unrecognizable at the end of the curve, the smell of cigar from the mailman sorting letters into cubbies in the next room, and playing dog on all fours around the yard until the whole school was on hands and knees, barking, crawling, and raising legs to pee. I think there were classes, but if there were pages of letters and numbers for me to decipher, I didn't participate. I remember only once being put on the spot. The teacher was Kathy, a blunt bob and small eyeglasses. She sat next to me on the steps and asked me to do math problems. I couldn't or wouldn't, and that was that. My parents finally pulled me shortly before I turned 8. I moved across the green, idyllic New England town square, down the road to a modern building of brick, the public school, Thetford Elementary. I would be in third grade. I was like a feral child, not used to rooms and carpeted hallways. These kids dressed and combed properly. I was covered in the scabs of bee stings and could not write my own name. It became obvious fast that I hated the textbooks, threw them on the floor because I couldn't understand and I didn't want to. My parents had read to me nightly. I had a library of children's books sent from my rich grandmother, but if someone wasn't reading them to me, the words were just an intimidating blur. The nice but frustrated teacher with the Dorothy Hamill haircut sent me to special education, a small room down the hall where teachers made me sit still or tried to. Made me read letters slowly, clumping them together, first 1, then 2, then 3, like that. In class, I was caught copying off the other kids. I was sent to the principal's office again and again. Mr. Johnson wore a suit and a crew cut, a real severe flat top like they did in the 60s. He may have been the first suit I ever interacted with. I spent a lot of days in his office, remember what the windows looked like, the robins and the grass outside. I had a chair next to the receptionist's desk, behind it a brown room for the nurse. I went there too when my head hurt. Most of the time, I just wanted out. I wanted to fight the other kids. I was like a puppy needing to hurl my body into the others, but they cried and tattled on me. The only recess game I liked was chicken. Being bigger than all of them, I could hoist up a smaller kid and rush into the others, laying them out like bowling pins. Nothing was more satisfying to me than bashing them. The game was against the rules, the teachers shut it down, and I lost the one thing where being big and reckless counted for something. Sometimes during recess, I hid in the brush and bushes on the side of the field. It was tangled and half dead. I liked it there. In the beginning, I tried to learn the games in gym class, when to kick or swing, that I wasn't supposed to run away from the ball, but towards it. This never stuck, and the ball always found me clumsy and red-faced. The ball always hit me in the head. I was never picked for teams and hated to go up to bat. I stood at the back of the line, letting everyone cut in front of me. The teacher got tired of encouraging and gave up, disgusted that with my height I couldn't even dribble a basketball. I hadn't grown up around sports, had never seen them played, and the whole thing seemed like a waste of time. I did like gymnastics, had a book about Nadia Comaneci, longed to launch myself through the air the way she did, spin my body tight around the parallel bars. But the most I could muster was a back bend from the floor up, cheating, and an unsteady walk across the balance beam. It was the only performance I ever did in any school. It was the year Star Wars came out. I carried the paperback to school with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, my other favorite, but I couldn't read a word of either. My hippie kid friends and I spent our parents' parties playing Star Wars, reenacting the Monster Bar and the garbage room on the Death Star, threatening to crush us. Our lightsabers, like all our sports, were imaginary and perfect. We played Yellow Submarine as a soundtrack. Car Wash played on the radio, but I had only ever seen one car wash in my life in West Lebanon. The strips of strange cloth hung down and swallowed the cars. It was creepy and fascinating. It was near the A&W where you could still get a root beer float and hot dog brought on a tray to your window. I loved that place, sitting in a cluttered back seat with my parents up front. In school, the straight kids told on me for cursing and bringing a Penthouse magazine to school. I wanted to form a gang, call myself Rhonda. I wanted teenage boys to look at my fat thighs. I wanted to ride in fast cars with them passing joints and beer between my legs. I loved going to the Cafe 25, hanging out while the grown-ups danced and drank. Me and Sweet Pea leaning into the bar to order virgin tequila sunrises, lingering by the room where the older guys draped pool sticks and sometimes let us take a shot. When I was younger, I got scared when my father drove fast and swung the car in wild donuts through the parking lot to make the local kids cheer. It felt too dangerous and out of control, but I was starting to crave that, wonder who would kiss me when the clock struck 12. The kids in school told on me for stealing pot and porn. I wanted to hit them, push them down with the 100-pound weight of me. I wanted them to know I was cooler in my torn Levi's, worn Converse, plaid flannel shirt, and ponytail, that grown men had compared me to Bridget Bardot, and I had seen her picture in Life magazine. They were soft in their polyester pants, televisions, and birthday parties where only kids came, parents dropping them off with gifts to play in finished basements. Birthdays at my house meant presents too, piles of them, and cake mom made from scratch, live bands playing, and grown-ups drunk, dancing, fucking, and bullshitting into the night. I liked my parties better. In special ed, they did succeed in teaching me to read. I passed into 4th grade, learned to live in the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lord of the Rings. I couldn't get the math, though. It set me into a panic, and I fought and raged against it. Grease came out. I worshipped the movie and soundtrack. I carried the whole double album with me to school every day, set it up on my desk. Grease told me what I wanted to hear, that the bad girl wins out in the end. I was marked as gifted and talented for a sketch I did of a sneaker. All that meant was that sometimes me and a pale blonde boy from Wyoming were sent to an empty classroom to sketch random objects placed on the desk. In 4th grade, I convinced my parents to take me to the village store on the way to school to buy big bags of Doritos. Snack time, I would dump the whole orange pile on my desk. It was the one time the kids liked me, and I was generous with my chips. I ate like a wolf, so excited my parents had bought something so artificial and delicious. I loved school lunch. It was the first time I had eaten canned vegetables or shepherd's pie. The differentness of this processed food fascinated me, and I took food off the other kids' trays. This made me chubby, but I didn't care. I never could get enough stuffing the soft canned green beans into my mouth, feeling the vegetable dissolve to nothing. I grew up with fresh vegetables from my mother's garden. I was finding out about the foods in other houses, the fluff on bunny bread and the desserts. Even when it didn't taste that good, I felt insatiable. Full was never enough. I longed to shove more into some empty part of myself by the fistful.